Assalamu alaikum, Andrew.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
First question, very interesting. What triggered you to translate Alisher Navoiy's Ghazals and Abdulhamid Cho'lpon's poem?
I think when you come to Uzbekistan, you see Navoiy's name everywhere, but you can't read anything because it hasn't been translated, or very, very little of it has been. So compared with the visual arts or the music or the dance, which you can actually engage with, you've got this national poet who is a complete unknown. So just for my own interest, I thought it would be to find out what Navoiy was like, and to hopefully give some good translations, just as an introduction. There are only 12 ghazals there, so it would just give people a taste of what Navoiy's work is like. At the same time, I thought it would be good to balance Navoiy with someone else. I think 12 ghazals is enough for an introduction. If we'd just done at Navoiy 24 ghazals, it wouldn't have really added that much. And also for an international audience, or an English-speaking audience, kind of Navoiy is this 15th century poet who lived in Herat. By adding Cho'lpon, that makes the connection between Navoiy and Uzbekistan. So Cho'lpon was one of the Jadids, as you know better than I do, early 20th century poets who kind of saw Navoiy as this founding father of Uzbek language and Uzbek culture.
Any challenges you faced during your translation, maybe working with Uzbek counterparts?
Challenges with Navoiy would be that it's because it's a very different tradition to the English poetry tradition. So you want to stick with that, but somehow to communicate. So there's that side of it, and I mean, Navoiy is notoriously hard to understand, but really you've just got to translate it. You can't be translating subtext and everything. The subtext is under it. You've really just got to translate the words and hope something carries through. And I did feel that I was carried by Navoiy. He did kind of make things easy. I wasn't having to fix problems. I wasn't kind of thinking this doesn't work. How can I make this work? It's like, no, this is solid. This is solid. I just need to find a way of expressing this. I think with Cho'lpon there are different challenges in that he often had to hide the meaning
because of the time.
Because of the Soviet Bolshevik repression, he couldn't just say the meaning. So there's that side of him where sometimes it's obvious what the hidden meaning is, and sometimes it isn't, and there may not be, but you're not sure. So that's a challenge. There are bits where you think, that doesn't really make sense. And I mean, we had some interesting experiences where we would go through a poem and it would be quite straightforward, but there'd be the one line where you go, that's a bit weird, why did he say that? And actually that was the key to the whole poem, that was the key to the hidden meaning. So because the rest of it, all the surface worked, you didn't need to know the hidden meaning, but the bit that didn't work, that was the bit where you needed to know what was behind it. So there was that side of it. I think also with, as a Jadid, I mean, it's quite didactic, it's educational, and that's a tricky one to write as good poetry, and it's tricky to translate as well. You don't want to be didactic with people, you want to write good poetry.
This is your second trip, and you've been to Bukhara and other cities.
It's been an amazing trip and completely different to the first trip. So the first trip, I didn't know anybody here. I was interested in the culture, I'd been reading about it, I wanted to write a sequence of poems, so I came kind of, wide-eyed, and that was a great trip. And when I came back, I was inspired to write the collection of poems, A New Diwan, which was kind of what led to the translations and everything. But working on the translations and promoting the book, I've kind of made lots of friends here. So this trip was about meeting people in person for the first time,
yes,
about being introduced to people. So rather than just visiting Bukhara and looking at the monuments, I had an introduction to one of the great miniature painters there, and it was an absolute delight. I went to Rishtan and I spent a day with a ceramics master. I mean, it was just, I wasn't expecting that at all. It was absolutely magnificent, and yeah, it was great.
Tell us more about your future plans, your expectations, and I've heard that you wish to visit in September, Uzbekistan.
I will be coming back in September. There is a literature festival, the Silk Road Literature Festival, that is taking place in Tashkent and Bukhara, 17th to 22nd of September. And the full lineup is going to be announced in a few weeks, I think. But there's different writers, translators, and there's going to be workshops. And I think I'll be doing 3 different things. One on Cho'lpon, one on Navoiy, and one on the next project that I'm doing, which I will tell you about in a minute. So again, that will be a different trip again.
And you mentioned that this is a sort of a first try of this kind when we have the gathering of poets, international poets, and the event. I think
it is the first. I mean, it's the first edition of this festival, and there hasn't really been anything like that before. So yes, I think it's an important thing, and it's also kind of coming out of COVID. It's one of the first things that can be organised, that can be planned for. So hopefully it will be a really exciting thing. So I was going to say about my current project is translating. So we've got Navoiy and Cho'lpon there. Is translating 2 19th century women poets, Nadira and Uvaisi. And I think they translate really well into English, and I think they're really powerful, and I hope people will really be interested. And their stories are really strong, and I just think hearing women's voices and women's experience from Central Asia in the 19th century is really exciting and interesting. And they're both great. They're really, really great. So I think one of the events at the festival will be about that, and that book will be well, it's about half finished now, so hopefully it will be finished fairly soon and will be published later this year.
Thank you very much for your visit, and I hope to see you again in this studio, maybe with new ideas and new poems.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful Turkestan. Beautiful Turkestan, what have they done to you? Your flowers that have died at dawn, your meadows that have dried, your bird's sad song. Everything is sad. No sweetness on the tongue. I don't know why the birds don't fly and sing out in your gardens. The mountains might even be unite with an undying flame of hope that we must fan. Unite now, every woman, every man. Make a new garden of Turkestan. Rise up, my people. Let there be an end to all our suffering. Take up your flag, wake up your heart, confound captivity. A new state will be found at ear, though there are enemies around. And Turkestan will grow on its own ground as an abundant homeland full of flower gardens.